Welcome to episode 11 of the Leaders in Next podcast. We've got an awesome interview coming up with Jacob Oden. We have a ton of fun. He's incredible. We'll get into that just shortly. But first, a message from one of our proud sponsors, Pure Green. Pure Green is one of the fastest growing franchises in the U.S. on a mission to build healthier communities around the globe. Pure Green offers handcrafted and made-to-order superfood smoothies, acai bowls, and cold-pressed juices with unparalleled taste and the highest standards for nutrition. I'm a big fan of the activated charcoal. I had it on our last podcast. It was incredible. I also did the Blue Biotic shot, which was also great. Made me feel awesome, hydrated, clean. You got to check them out. You can learn more about them by visiting their website at puregreenfranchise.com. Again, that's puregreenfranchise.com. Now, Jacob Oden.
This is Jacob Oden with the Michigan football team. I'm here with Leaders in Next podcast.
Again, welcome everyone to Leaders in Next podcast. We're excited to have Jacob Oden join us today. Jacob helped lead Harper Woods to a Division IV Michigan State championship in 2023 with an 11-3 record, the first state title in program history, and in doing so, achieved some great honors for his own play. He was a top 300 recruit on all the recruiting sites and was selected to play in the U.S. Army All-American Bowl. Jacob was part of the 2024 recruiting class and was so excited about getting to Michigan that he enrolled early, January 15th, 2024. So it's only been like 6 or 7 months to get a head start on the upcoming season. Welcome to the Leaders in Next podcast, Jacob.
Glad to be here.
Thanks for joining us, Jacob.
Yeah. So, I think a lot of people that know your story know your affiliation with Michigan probably started pretty at a young age because your father played at Michigan. Rod played at, was a fullback in the 90s at Michigan. What was it? What's your earliest memory? I know, like, I'm a Michigan alum, and so is Dan, and so he started hearing about Michigan, really early. What's your earliest memory of as it relates to Michigan football?
I'll say my earliest memory is him taking me on the field for a game. I think it was David Gardner was a quarterback. I remember watching the game. It was a night game. They had the old Adidas jerseys. And then getting to meet the players after the game. I feel like that was probably one of my earliest memories.
So let's see now. How old were you at the time?
Shoot, I don't even know. I was very young though.
Looking at these big, huge guys.
I think I know
field.
the game. Was it against Notre Dame? Devin Gardner was the starter, right? At that
Yeah,
time?
he was.
Yeah, that was electric.
Yeah.
Night game. Yeah, the old Adidas uniforms. I'm pretty sure there's a guy who wears number 0, which we'll get into. I think Devin Gardner rocked 98 as quarterback.
He did.
Which is pretty awesome.
Not too many QBs at that.
No.
Now, how old were you when you learned all the words to the fight song?
I had to be like 9.
You're a veteran. Yeah, I mean, you're a veteran at this whole thing by the time you got to Michigan then. So when did you get started playing football?
I started, I think I was 7 years old. I played for the Wolverines, actually. It was my first football team. Little AYF league, played with the Wolverines. Actually, same team as Will Johnson. Me and Will played on the same little league team.
Oh, wow. What position did you start off at?
I was a tight end in the H-back. Because back then I was the biggest thing out there.
Yeah, we're going to get into this later, but you're still pretty young, and you also have a size 14 shoe apparently, and so it sounds like you're still growing. So maybe we can save this for later. But any chance we can get you back to tight end?
Nah.
You like that side? Okay. How about linebacker?
Nah.
No. Okay. All right. Okay.
Say,
good.
As a former accomplished tight end and H-back, do you ever give Max Bredesen some tips? Just kind of where to go, where to hit the hole.
Yeah, they be needing my help sometimes in that role. Like Max, C Love, Marlon. I have to put my 2 cents in.
I know you're joking, but I would love to see that conversation of you as a freshman giving Max and Colston some tips on tight ends. That would be worthy of of a viral clip right there.
Oh yeah.
Now, in addition to football, you're pretty successful track and field guy. I mean, you were sprints, relay, long jump, high jump. Did you ever think about trying to do that in college, or were you at focus? Because I know you did that all through high school, right? So did you ever think about trying to do them both, or doing one versus the other?
No, not really. Because my last year in track, I got injured, so I was just like,
okay,
I'm really just focusing on football.
I mean, was it hard to do both? Because these days, you have all these camps. You have 7-on-7s. You know, a guy as highly rated as you were doing a lot of football things. Was it hard to do something other than football?
Well, track was just something to do to get better at football. So It was a part of training, really.
Okay.
Kind of cool. Your dad obviously played at Michigan, and that's a very cool experience. I'm sure something you guys share and love to have. Now that you're on the team, tell me, what kind of advice or conversations do you have with your dad about football? Does he help talk to you about the experience? Just curious if you guys have any discussions like that.
Yeah, it's really just compare and contrast to what it was back then and what it's been now. Like, it's a lot of stuff that's changed from what I'm hearing, because what he's saying is nothing to what I'm really experiencing. It's some stuff that's similar, but it's nothing really the same. It's a whole different program from what it was back then. So that's really what we do, compare and contrast.
What are some of those big differences?
So we talk about, because he's a assistant principal, so we talk about school a lot too. So school's a real big difference. He said he had a swimming class that I was like, I'm not taking swimming or doing none of that. Or football too. The stuff they do in the weight room, totally different than what we do. So little stuff like that.
I'd love these. So as an old man, I always love these conversations. Back in my day, start off like that. He's probably also a little jealous of the NIL situation these days, but again, that's a different conversation. So obviously, given how highly rated you had a ton of offers. I think last count close to 40 offers from almost every Big Ten team, and you ultimately had a top 5 of Michigan, Tennessee, Penn State, Iowa, and MSU. Now, I looked at the other offers that you had, and the top 5 that you had, missing some notable programs like Notre Dame, Oklahoma, Ole Miss, and Colorado. How did you cut it down to those top 5? And because Notre Dame's great program, big program. Colorado's kind of a hot, was hot at the time. Dion coming in and all that. How'd you come up with your top 5?
Really just built off relationships and scheme fits, so where I think I could fit in the best at, and then the culture was one of the biggest things. I feel like Michigan had the best culture out of every other school. It's just different than what it is everywhere else.
Now, with those top 5, I think you took all 5 of your official visits, and you went to those 5 that I mentioned earlier. Are the visits that different between the schools? Or are they pretty regimented, where they do the same stuff, a little tour, they do a photo op with you in the uniform at the stadium? I mean, did any of the visits stand out that you thought, hey, that's a cool visit versus somebody else?
The regular visits that wasn't during the season, just same thing over and over. The things that stood out was when I went to visits during the season. Okay. And before the season, I was scheduled my visits based on the top games to go to. So I went to Tennessee versus Alabama. I went to the Penn State whiteout. I went to the Michigan-Ohio State game. So getting to experience a lot of good things at those type of visits.
Well, those are big games right there, just in tickets, man, that you saved. You got to see the best 3 games of the season. That's awesome.
Yeah, I went to Cincinnati versus Notre Dame back when Cincy was college football playoff. Green out, all that. It was fun.
So when you visited at Michigan, now obviously you've probably been to a lot of games, but for your official visit, who was your host?
Johnson and Rod Moore.
Okay. So I'm just curious, what you do during your visit?
We just hung out. We hung out. I got some knowledge from them guys, seeing how it was. And they came in, how it is right then and there. And they really helped out a lot with my recruitment.
Got it.
I'm just curious, you mentioned, in addition to the official visit, you said one of the things you were looking for, besides culture, was the scheme fit. What particularly were you looking for in terms of what schemes were you kind of leaning into that were attractive for you when you were making that decision?
So I'm a versatile player, so I was looking for a scheme that could allow me to be versatile and do multiple things instead of one simple thing every defense, like just straight playing man or straight playing whatever. So I wanted a scheme to where I could do whatever, like be wherever, do whatever, and just I was looking into players who've done it in their schemes. So that's a big thing.
Now, given that you're a legacy at U of M, do you think some schools shied away from you? Because it didn't appear Ohio State offered, and I'm just curious if they just said, "Hey, there's no way he's coming here because his dad, he's a legacy." I'm just curious. Did you ever get that feeling that some people shied away from you?
I've definitely got that in some places. Being a kid from Michigan with a dad and all my uncles going to Michigan.
Mm-hmm.
From some places, but others was like, we're going to recruit you no matter what.
Now, ultimately, you picked Michigan, and you've touched on it a little bit. But what were the main things that you said? This is where I want to spend my time.
It's different. Being here now is just different than everywhere else. Like the people, everything's just different here. It's better, different for the better. Like everything's about the team, no matter what, and everybody holds each other accountable, and everybody's so goal-oriented, so it's different.
Oh, now, you enrolled early, and I think, I read an article, and they were probably joking, but you might have been one of the youngest recruits commitments in a freshman class since in the last 400 years. Why enroll early?
Shoot. The big two reasons, well, they're not the big two reasons, but I got to go to the Rose Bowl and the national championship. So, you feel me, got to go to those games. And then really just to get in early and learn everything. So seeing the summer guys coming out, I'm like way ahead. Like with my relationship with the coaches, I didn't have the spring, I didn't did everything. So I'm just way ahead. I'm teaching them the defense. So it's just, that's why I came in early.
Okay, that's great.
Jacob, I love your style, man. You're saying official visits. Give me the best game you got. What's the most expensive ticket on your schedule? That's the weekend I'm coming for my official visit.
That's what I want to go see.
I want to be at the Rose Bowl. I want to be at the Natty.
Yeah, I don't want to see y'all play Kennesaw State at 12 o'clock. I got to leave on Friday after my game to come see y'all blow somebody out 60-0.
Yeah, like those weird SEC games where they play like the Citadel, in the middle of the season. Like, no.
Nah, I'm not going.
No, it is pretty interesting, and I know you're not unique, and like a lot of guys at your level want to see those big games. I remember when Dan and I were on the field before the first the Ohio State game, the one that I have on my background here, 2021, when we beat them.
There.
Okay, and we were down there in the end, kind of watching people warm up, and and it was pretty electric feeling. You could just tell it was in the air, but also all the guys with the lanyards, with all their names on them. There had to be hundreds of recruits at that game.
Yeah.
They saw a good game, but
definitely saw a good game.
Last one on the official visit. I know you mentioned it wasn't the biggest decision-making factor, given your emphasis on finding the right culture, finding the right scheme fit. Did you ever feel like an official visit though? Like, do you see guys where it does make a big difference, where they might be undecided or they might be on the fence, and there is something about official visit that can kind of swing them one way for the other?
No, definitely when you go on an official visit, the relationship with the other commits there, that could play a big part in swinging the recruits. Like, once you get there and everybody's there talking about their future at a place and, like, what they're going to do when they get here, that makes you want to be a part of that. So that's a big thing that really could swing somebody from I'm not sure to, oh, yeah, they got a plan when they get here. I want to be here with them.
That's an awesome point. Was there anyone in the 2024 class with you that you felt that connection with?
Shoot, the whole class, really. Our class was very close. So we talked about that all the time.
Well, Sal, when you were going through this process and then you eventually signed your letter for U of M, after signing that letter, you lost a lot of people that you were connected to from a recruiting standpoint in a clean scale, and then almost everybody else. Like, I think you're on your third defensive coordinator. You when you first started, it was McDonald, then you went to Minter,
Yep.
and then of course Jim and Jay Harbaugh are gone. I mean, if you had a crystal ball, if you knew then what you know now, do you think you would have committed to Michigan anyway?
Definitely. It's like I said, it's just different. Like most people, they whole coaching staff leave, they out of here. But like it's just the team. Like if that happened at any other program around the country, that whole team would have jumped ship and went somewhere else. But you see our team, we stay together. Everybody's still here. Everybody's still in place with the same mindset, same goal.
No, you're right. The team, it was pretty interesting to see how basically everybody stayed, just and lost a lot of coaches, lost a lot of guys to the NFL, which is great. But you're right. The core, many of the core came back. Now you mentioned earlier, one of the nice aspects of coming in early is you got to go to the Rose Bowl and in the national championship. I mean, first of all, the Rose Bowl, the weather, it's a pretty cool setting. What did tell us a little bit about your, what was that like?
It was like a movie. Like the whole week, I'm texting people. I'm like, oh yeah, we about to do it because we was so locked in, like ultra locked in. Like we got to the locker room, dead silence, nothing. All the freshmen that was there early, they got us in the middle of the locker room. They suited up right before we walk out. Blake Corum comes in and tells all the freshmen, "Yeah, take this in. You'll get to see this again. Take this in. So we're like, okay. Then we walk out. The ground is shaking. It's hot too. The ground is shaking. I'm like, okay, this is serious. I'm nervous. Like I'm finna be suited up and playing. And then the uniforms, the patches on the side, the scenery, like the sun was setting, going down. By the time it was the fourth quarter, it was dark. And then the lights was on. Everybody was loud. Never heard a stadium that loud. They came and showed up. It was super loud. Every play, loud. And then it was a whole bunch of stars on the sideline. We didn't see everybody. It was just all crazy. Like, and then the last play running on the field, the roses dropping from the sky, seeing the fireworks spilling out, Michigan champion, all that. It was just all crazy.
Makes you want to do it again.
Definitely.
Now, rolling early, you're like 17 years old, still, but I think you were 6'1", 187 kind of coming into Michigan. Then you hit what is well known as one of the best, if not the best, strength and conditioning programs in the country. Just curious, what was that like for you experiencing it? How has that helped you continue to develop as a guy, as a guy in the defensive backfield that's going to come up and make some great hits?
I mean, our strength and conditioning staff is the best I've ever been with. Like, they actually teach you the science behind what they're doing, and then everything's intentional and with detail. So I feel like that you won't see us in the weight room cleaning 500 pounds, doing a whole bunch of extra stuff for clicks and likes. You're going to see us using our technique, doing stuff that we can use on that football field that's going to get us real strong and our endurance really high, and that's going to make us last in that fourth quarter when the game comes down to it.
It's interesting. We just talked to Josh Preeb, and he had been in a different program before, but also had a powerlifting background. And we actually asked him, we said, hey, you've been in a weight room. You've actually competed as a power lifter. We kind of asked him for his read on the strength and conditioning program. He had a very similar response. He said, it's not about the stuff you would think. Like, it's not really like Olympic powerlifting. It's not to make you a better weightlifter. It's to make you a better football player. Yep. And obviously, when you hear that, you're like, well, that makes a lot of sense. But you're right. A lot of the stuff you see, the viral stuff, you watch it and you're like, yeah, when are you going to do that movement on the football field? So, no, totally agree.
Now that said, fans all love – who's the strongest question. You guys get asked this question, and or how many reps you can do at 225. So you don't have to tell us if it's not you, but who's the strongest defensive back and on the bench press?
Strongest defensive back on the field. I'm definitely up there. Not even
there you go.
But Quentin Johnson.
Oh. He's just he's got old man strength at this point.
Oh no, for sure. Quinn been there since I was in 8th grade. So
Jacob, be careful because we got cues on the schedule for the podcast. So
he know.
I was gonna say I got a feeling he's heard that one before, Dad.
Yeah.
Hey, back to the coaching changes that between when you committed and then now. I do want to bring something up because we talk about scheme again. Just your thoughts. Must have been good to hear, not just that there was continuity from Jim going to Sharon, but they bring in Wink Martindale, who doesn't run the same defense as Jesse Minter. But my guess is a big part of your decision to come to Michigan was scheme. And so to see that the McDonald scheme, which sort of transitioned to Minter's to Wink, as staffing changes go, that's probably, I don't know if you agree with this, but seems like that's a good continuity in terms of scheme and philosophy. Do you feel that way? And how's it been in terms of what you were kind of going off of with Minter to what Wink's brought?
Definitely. We got the OG. We got the creator. So when I seen it was going to be Coach Wink that was coming in instead of somebody that has to relearn the defense, I was excited. I'm like, and then he's an OG NFL guy too. Like he's coached a lot of guys, Ray Lewis, a whole bunch of guys. So, and then what brings him is like he has that NFL terminology. Like when we was with Coach Minter, it was terminology for sure, but Coach Wink brings that in when he's describing a play, he's calling it like an offense would in the NFL or a defense would in the NFL. So like I feel like our IQ is gonna be boosted real high when it's time to get in front of them GMs and them coaches for the league.
That's incredible.
Yeah, I mean, you've had a few practices under your belt, obviously. True freshman. Any welcome to the Big Ten moments in practice where maybe you were coming up on a blitz and some pulling lineman who outweighs you by 120 pounds met you, and it was like, okay, this is real?
Nah, I would say not really alignment. It's just the big backs that we have to tackle. That's different for sure. Like 235, 4'4" running backs. That was an adjustment for sure.
We got a quarterback that size too. So
feels like Khalil Mullings is is behind some of this.
Well, you mentioned you're a versatile player, and it looks like during in the practices leading up to the spring game, you were doing a lot of corner and nickel, but in the spring game, you were at safety a little bit. What I'm just curious, what changed to put you at safety for the game, and maybe nothing, and it was an experiment. But curious, do you have a preference where you play?
No, for the spring game, the teams are split, so we put the best players where we needed to be. So I had to start at safety that game because we had Zeke, McCarry, and all of them on the other team. So we let the other guys play corner. I was like, I'll just move to safety because I know it, so I'll just do that. But I don't have a preference. I like that they give me the freedom to just insert, plug in wherever I need to.
Okay.
This might be kind of a corny question, but you're wearing number 0 now, right?
No, I'm wearing number 5.
Okay, I didn't know if that was official because I know you had that in your in your one of your pictures, but I think you're wearing 5 now, right?
Yeah.
But obviously Mikey Sainer still kind of comes to mind when people think 0. So another person that, when you think of him, you think of versatility. I remember, I think it was in the Ohio State game last year, Will got hurt. And by the way, in the stands, we had no idea what was going on. All of a sudden, he just didn't go out there. Didn't see him leave the field injured. And I think McBurrows came in, but I also think Mikey switched over and played a lot of corner.
Yeah, he did.
And a lot of moments to be proud of over the last few seasons, but I think that really spoke to this guy. Not only knew the playbook and knew where to be, but he was able to shift over and cover a first-round NFL, wide receiver in the drop of a hat, just on the next play. How much of your game do you feel like, and you were probably watching Mikey from the sidelines, but from those guys that kind of came before you, how much of how you've built your game is constructed on some of the things you saw those guys be really successful at?
I mean, when Mikey was here, that's all. I was with him after every practice trying to learn what he would do, what he would see. So he's a real versatile guy. Like he was playing everything. So I try to model my game after a few, like Mikey and Will. Them guys, Will's very technical. I get to see it every day. So I no choice but to learn from him. So it's a great advantage.
One way a lot of freshmen get on the field is special teams. You know, where have you been in practice? Are you doing any special teams work?
Yeah, I've been a gunner in the corner on punt.
Okay. Any chance you're back there catching punts?
Nah, not this year. They got the big dog Will Johnson back there with Tyler Morris and Samaj Morgan.
No, I've heard of those guys. I think we'll be okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I just in the just curious, how'd you spend your off season?
Work.
Now I heard I think you did an Empower internship.
I did.
Yeah,
Yep.
tell us. A lot of fans have heard of Empower, and knew that some guys were doing internships. So tell us a little bit about how you found your internship and what you end up doing.
So I have an interest in real estate. So I went with David Rice, who's a Michigan man, and had an internship down in Orlando, Florida. What the crazy thing is, like, that's like one of the best experiences I've had in my life. I could say that, like, Empower had put us through that, like me and a few other guys. Like, the stuff that we got to experience is stuff that somebody like me from where I'm from would never get to see. Like, the things that we got to see and experience was things that only people from where we're from could, like, dream of. So I'm super grateful for that opportunity that I had this summer.
That's awesome.
Tell us more about that. What were some of those things that, I mean, it sounds like, for it to be one of the most memorable things that you've done and been able to experience, what were some of those things that you learned that were new, that you took away, that were really special?
I mean, we had dinners with multiple multimillionaires. We got to go on a lake and look at billion-dollar houses. I seen Shaquille O'Neal's house. I seen a whole bunch of other guys like on a lake looking at their houses, seeing like we could be here one day. We got to meet Tiger Woods' trainer. I mean, we got to go to Disney fast pass for every park, like and then just the life lessons that he taught us, like taking stuff one step at a time, like reaching your little goals in order to achieve your big goals. Like all the stuff that he taught us, we take in, and then we hit him up all the time. Like he's not like he could be talking to anybody else, but like when we hit him up, he answers the phone, like he answers the call. So I feel like that was just a great experience.
It's in today's world, of NIL, we all hear stories about guys getting paid so much money to go to a school. It's, and some people think it's corny, but it sounds like it's important, which is the other stuff that certain schools can offer, like Michigan with the big alumni base and the context that you guys are making. Because ultimately, we hope that all of you guys play in the NFL, and I know that's your dream, but at some point that career, is over. 5-10 years in the NFL is a long career, and you got to do something else. And so it's great that you're getting those experiences. And I'm sure we'll talk to John Rachi and others about Empower on a future episode. But
and Jacob, I'm just curious, did you hear about Empower during your recruitment? As you were kind of recruiting and learning about the school, did you kind of get an overview of Empower and what that might provide for you once you were a student athlete?
I mean, when we was getting recruited, Empower was just an idea from John Rachi and one of our old coaches, our old linebacker coach. So it was just an idea. It wasn't really like they haven't done it yet, but when I got here, they actually bought it and did it.
That's great. Well, hopefully, sounds like there'll be internships next summer if that's something that you're still interested in. So now we through the off season, we're coming up on the new season. The secondary room, and this is probably common to all college football, but a lot of change in the back end of the defense. We had 4 people transfer out. We had 4 people transfer in. And then 2 guys went to the NFL, most notably Mikey. So right now I think there's like 17 scholarship guys in the back end. And now they brought in some guys at safety Walker and Jaden, and also secure the return of Quentin Johnson. So, a lot of numbers at safety. Do you, in terms of your thought process for this year, I know you're probably practicing. Do you expect that you'll redshirt?
I mean, I'm expecting to play.
Okay.
If that comes down to it, then I'll do whatever I need to do. But the expectation right now is to play.
Okay.
It's awesome. I think, and two, one of the things I've noticed, and I guess I look for it more now, is how much rotation, at least I saw in a lot of the Mike McDonald and Jesse Minter defenses. Like I remember too on the defensive line, for example, I think we played more defensive linemen than any other school, right? Something like that. I can't remember that exact stat, but
yeah.
But I felt the same way about the defensive backfield. Even when Moore and Page were in, there was a lot of run from Q, and Keon Sabb would play a lot. So it also feels like, and Jacob, I'm curious, maybe this is still part of the plan, that they like to keep guys fresh. Like they want to be able to rotate guys in, exploit different advantages potentially in terms of matchups. And so I'm just curious, do you see some of those same things in the defensive philosophy you've got now?
Yeah, definitely. We plan ourselves on having depth, like opportunities for guys to come in and nothing change or just be the same. And no matter what, like if a guy goes down, yeah, that's bad, but we got another guy that can replace him, like no matter what. And that's a part of the game. Somebody's gonna go down, but having a guy to back him up, replace him, that's a good thing to have. That's what we got.
And Dad, think about the last 2 years against Ohio State. I mean, Will kind of gets hobbled. Mikey and McBurrows comes in and plays an incredible game.
Mm-hmm.
Not out of nowhere, but to go up against Emeka Ibuka and Marvin Harrison, and just they were ready. They were ready to go. And frankly, Donovan against Ohio State 2 years ago when Blake got hurt, and then Donovan comes in and has the game of his life. No flinch, no jitters, just
Zinter goes out.
Zinter goes down. Yep. Trente Jones comes in. Guys just they don't flinch. They're ready.
Part of the game is also this transfer portal, and I'm just curious when. Did you basically, to the coaches, say, "Hey guys, we're going to be looking for we're going to be looking for some help at this position," or did you read about, like, for example, when we landed Wesley Walker or Jaden from MSU, they're both safeties, I believe, and so did you sit there and say, "Oh man, I wish I would have known that," or did you know in advance that they would probably be putting more people in the room?
No, we had a meeting before, and they told the defense that they would be looking into the portal. So I knew it's just time to compete. That's all it is.
Okay. Now, so you've got we mentioned we got changes in coaches, and so with Harbaugh's departure, we can always ask this question because he's gone. So unless you get drafted by it, and he's still in the NFL, do you have any favorite stories about Jim?
Oh my gosh, Coach Harbaugh. Coach Harbaugh would be in the tub in full clothes, man.
We heard that. It's funny. Gentry told us the same story. Like he walked in, and Harbaugh was in the car, as you guys call it, the car wash.
Yeah.
Right, and it fully clothed. It's
fully clothed. Coach Harbaugh, he's different.
Jacob, did you say anything to him when you saw him in full clothes? Like, dude. Like at least
no, because that's just a Harbaugh thing. It's a regular thing. Yeah, it's just coach.
Sorry about that. And
who'd your dad play for? Did he play for Gary Moeller or for
Moeller? Yeah.
So tell us about your new position coach, Lamar. By the way, his profile pic in the staff, he's rocking the bow tie, which is pretty classy. But what's obviously. You're forming a new relationship because, again, you were recruited by other guys. What's that been like?
Coach Morgan's cool, real down-to-earth guy. He's just a real cool guy. Now you can relate to, talk to anytime. But I feel like he came in and did what he had to do. He got close with us. He's real cool. So I think everybody's accepted him very well.
That's awesome. And part of that accepting is you touched on it earlier, but, we hear so much about culture. And, obviously we're biased. We all think we're great. But, I'm sure a lot of teams say, oh, we got a great culture too. What is it, if you explained it to someone outside of the Michigan program, like other guys you went to, that you were recruited with, but went to other schools. What are the one or two things that you would tell them? Hey, here's what our culture is.
I mean, our culture, there's many ways that you could like just put it, but it's hard to just put it in one simple way. Like, our culture is just somebody stepping out of line, everybody else gonna have them step into line. Like, no, everybody's gonna hold it. We're a team that wouldn't even need coaches type. Like, nobody has to hold us accountable for anything. Everybody knows what's the plan, what's the goal. Everybody's one goal minded. So even if coaches was just gone, I feel like run practice, do all of that, and then we'll be perfectly fine.
That's great, because there is always change. So if you can hold yourselves accountable, the coaches kind of come and go, players come and go. So it's good to know that there's some continuity there.
That's a good call, Jacob, because you were saying like a lot of other teams, especially given the transfer in the transfer portal age, to lose a guy like Jim Harbaugh, and especially after hitting, you reach the summit of the mountain, you win the national championship. It'd be really easy to say like, I want to go get something else now. There'd be so many reasons to say yes to that. But my guess is that player-led culture is really, it's like, hey, no, there were weeks on end when people didn't even know who the coach was, but guys stayed. And you have to infer from that they were staying for each other because they didn't know who the coach was going to be. They may not have even known if their position coach was going to stay around. So that's awesome. And maybe a misconception in some way. Like, I feel like because of Harbaugh, how famous he is and his accolades as a player and a coach and all that he's like this larger than life, and maybe he is in some ways, but it did feel like last year and last 2 years what made the team really successful was, especially given all the crazy stuff, he got suspended he wasn't on the sideline for 6 games or something like that, and the team just kept going. And maybe that's the sign of a great leader, is you prepare others around you, and the players, and maybe you got to give the players a lot of credit too, which is like, we're doing this for us.
We train for that. Yeah, we actually train for stuff like that. Like, no matter nothing matters as long as we have each other. Like, we do a lot of mental tests. So like, maybe we'll be in a weight room and have somebody, like half the team, jump in the cold tub. We still gotta work. Nothing matters. Nothing matters. Like, no matter what happens, what adversity comes, nothing, we're just going to put our head down and work no matter what. So no matter circumstances, we're going to work.
Has anything, we talked about continuity, but I'm just, a lot of new coaches, things like that. Any big new changes in terms of how things are operating inside Schembechler?
Any big new changes?
You got new music at practice?
No, everything's, they do their best to keep everything the same.
That's great. Well, I by the way, I hear you're getting new locker rooms. Have you seen those? I assume they're going to be done when the season fully starts. I mean,
I think we have like 8 days or something left until we're done.
What do you think about the new locker rooms?
I think it's going to be crazy. Like, I seen the little draw up. We got like a bowling alley and stuff in there, cold tubs, lounge chairs, all type of stuff. So I think it's going to be crazy.
I can't wait to find out who the best bowler is on the team. Any predictions?
Nah, no predictions. I think because we had a bowling tournament, the tight ends won the bowling tournament, but we don't know.
So a lot of people always wonder, like, are locker rooms that important? And so when you were being recruited, just curious, anybody have a really cool locker room that you said, man, this might change my opinion. Maybe I should go here. Or,
No, that stuff, like, that's cool.
Yeah,
it's cool, but like, it wasn't like a deal breaker.
Got it. Well, it sounds like, I mean, the new locker rooms are going to be great. I guess we're keeping up. It's the arms race of having at least decent locker rooms. So, that's great. You mentioned your dad. Your dad. One of the differences, he said, academics. But I know academics are important to your family. I know your father's a coach and an assistant principal, like you said, and both your parents graduated from U of M. So I'm just curious, what's the transition like been for you academically, going from high school now you've taken some classes? What's that been like?
Just a lot of reading and writing, but they prepare me for it. So I've had a lot of help.
That's
I can
great.
say that.
What I'm just curious. What are you starting to study from a major standpoint?
I want to go into business, so I can apply next year to get into Russ.
Oh, that's great. As there's several people, and Dan is a graduate of Ross himself. So that's a great program, great school, and obviously named after a guy that made a little bit of money in real estate. So yeah, just a little bit. And so I assume that after football, you've mentioned real estate. Is that something when your long NFL career is over? Are you looking to real estate right now is top of the list, or is there something else that you're interested in doing?
No, it's top of the list, especially with the connections that I've built to Empower. So I feel like it's top of the list. So I have a lot of help with that.
That's great. Well, I know, one of the things we notice in some of your social media stuff is how important it is for you to give back to the community, and especially locally in Detroit area, and which is awesome. How did that, where's that come from? And maybe tell us us and the fans some of the things that you've been doing.
I mean, my parents always preach I've been blessed. I've been very blessed. So giving back to others that is not so blessed is just the least I could do. And then I've just been going out to the community with some of the guys, just doing what we can to make somebody else smile, see somebody else, because we've been blessed to walk around this earth, being able to breathe correct, being able to use our arms and smile, and just seeing other people doing the same stuff but like with disadvantages, being able to still put a smile on their face every day, that's just this ultimate motivator. So I feel like that's the best thing.
Now I think some of those activities you've done some Hail Impact events, right? Were you at the Best Buddies?
Yeah, I was there
recently. So tell again, for those, I saw some posts there, but so for those listening, Hail is a non-for-profit associated with the University of so that supports Michigan athletics. And if you donate to them, every dollar that you donate, 30% goes to the player and 70% goes to the charity that they partner with. And one of the charities they partnered with and support is Best Buddies program. And so that looked really cool. What did you guys were out in the park and doing some activities with some of the clients from Best Buddy. Tell us a little bit about what you did.
My job was to beat everybody in cornhole, and I feel like I completed that to my best ability.
Oh, so you're a good you're a good cornhole player. Okay. Yeah. Well, are you the best on the team?
Gotta be.
Okay. Yeah. Sounds like there's an off-season tournament. There's a tournament
really well to bowling, I think.
Yeah.
It's cornhole and bowling. Yeah.
Cornhole is an art for sure. It's an art.
What other some of the other events you've done in the area to support the local community?
I've done multiple. I've done visit to the Mott's Children's Hospital.
Okay.
I've done obviously the Best Buddies. I went to elementary school for their little camp. I've done multiple camps.
Yeah, you did a camp with Will, I think, recently, right?
Yeah, I did a camp with Will. I've done a camp with Samaj. I've done a camp with Somebody. I've done a camp, multiple camps. And then I went to like a field day for children's at Wines Elementary School. I did that. And it's a few other things.
I mean, it's great that, because, a lot of people get cynical about now this college athletics and everyone's in it for the money, in that narrative. And it's great to see guys on the team like yourself giving back. Because as you know, you were a young kid. When the young kids see you guys doing things, it means a lot. So it's awesome that you're doing that.
Yeah, and Jacob, maybe too, think about if you could like role reversal, like if you were to put yourself in kind of the shoes of the kids that are attending the camps, how do you think it helps them? Like, what do you think it goes through their head in terms of, that's a really cool opportunity to get to go, but like, tell us about how you think it helps them, the benefits you think that they get out of going to camps like that with guys like you and Samaj and Will.
I ain't gotta tell you how I think, because that was me. That was me for sure. Back when I was a kid, I went to camps. I went to Jordan Lewis, Desmond King. I went to all these, Brandon Graham, went to all those camps. Again, to see the NFL and college guys there is just like surreal. Like, and then the lessons they teach you at the camps is like, wow, like I could I could do this. Like if I just do everything that was supportive of my goals and what I have to do, I can be where they're at right now. And that's what we just try to tell the kids now. Like you can do it.
Well, so you're in college you're playing college athletics at an interesting time, a time that didn't exist when your father played, which is the whole NIL transfer portal, and things are rapidly changing, and every day it seems like. Kind of what's your take on did NIL factor into your college decision?
Nah, I wouldn't say it played a big factor. I mean, it obviously plays a part nowadays in college decision, but as long as you find a place, the NFL's the ultimate goal. And that's NFL money and NIL money. NIL is just an endorsement for an NFL player. So signing the NFL contract is the most important thing.
And are you doing anything? You've got any existing NIL deals right now? I know you did the Hale thing, and again, that's an NIL related deal. Anything else that you're currently working on that you want to give a shout out to?
I got a few NIL. I have Detroit Squadron. I have GLD, PSD. It's a lot to name.
That's great.
Yeah, it's a lot of. I gotta shout out my boy Kool-Aid, NIL, AYV, Detroit local company, clothing.
Okay.
So it's a lot of Detroit local stuff that I do.
And now Leaders in Next podcast. There we go.
Yep, Leaders in Next.
Just back to your perspective on NIL in general. And that is an incredibly wise and thoughtful and like sort of future-looking perspective to have about NIL, the ultimate goals of the NFL. That perspective, how did you form that? Like, were you kind of watching things around you and saw the good of it, the bad of it, just kind of form your own opinion, talking to folks, hearing any stories? I'm just curious because obviously I think that's a really good way to think about it. But I'm just curious, how did you form that perspective? I think it's just incredibly, like I said, thoughtful and wise, and just curious.
I come from a wise family. They teach me like what's most important in life. It's not about the little things that I enjoy now. It's about the bigger picture, the big goal, but also to enjoy the little things on the way there. So I feel like that's where I get it from. That's where I learn all what I can from.
That's great. Because it does sound like, when you read things as a fan, that there maybe are some folks, highly recruited folks, highly rated people like you that were coming out that are going to the highest bidder, and maybe not the best program, and so glad that you had that perspective that you had.
And it must help too that Michigan, who has had has been, I think, recognized as having a really strong culture. The team holds. Obviously, we're national champions, so there's that. But I think 18 guys went to the pros last year.
Yeah.
The program's been getting guys ready, and I think Harbaugh. I saw somewhere. I think we are the second or third school with the most players on an NFL roster right now. I think there's like 50-something guys. And some recent defensive backs. I know DJ Turner and Dax Hill. They're both on the Bengals. Jordan Lewis is still playing, so it's just cool to see how that has really been built up over. How long was Harbaugh here? 9 years.
7.
9 years, yeah.
One time.
So,
well, it's so we're going to transition. We got a 2-minute drill, and as Dan has said many times, it lasts a lot longer than 2 minutes. So we have timeouts. TV timeouts. We got all sorts of things, but we're just going to rapid fire some questions. So first one is, if you weren't a football player, what sport would you want to be playing?
Volleyball.
Volleyball.
Yes.
Jacob, you are the first of, I think, 9 guys that we've interviewed. We had pickleball, which is a little out of left field. Volleyball. Tell me a little bit, where is that coming from?
So in high school, I picked up volleyball. I was coaching the girls' team because we wasn't allowed to have a boys' team. So I picked up volleyball with some of my friends, and we was playing it for about 2 years, and we got really good. So, and it's a very fun sport. Very fun sport.
I tend to agree with you, but I'm just thinking the reception you would get in the locker room if you said, "Hey guys, anybody want to have a pickup game of volleyball?" How do you think the reception would be?
We can go on. I'm saying I can make it fun. Going on the sand, getting on that beach, and then that's a workout.
Looking like Top Gun, baby.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I got to ask, who do you want? If you're playing like 4-person sand volleyball, it's you. Who are the 3 other guys that you're going to recruit to play on your volleyball team?
On my team, I need. Let me see. A Marion Walker, because he's tall and he could jump.
Okay.
I need one of the freshmen that just came in, Mason Curtis, because he probably has the highest vertical on the team.
Wow.
And then I need Samaj because he's quick and can get to wherever, and he's gonna dive for that ball.
Yeah.
Probably Jaden McBurrows, because all he does in practice is dive for balls.
So wait a minute. Newsflash: Mason, this incoming freshman, he has the highest vertical on the team. You think?
Definitely, probably has the highest vertical on the team. He's at least top 5.
You heard it here first. That was not. I don't know if that was in the recruiting reports publicly available. So, folks, breaking news. Be on the lookout. Speaking of being on the lookout, who would you say fans should be on the lookout for? Someone's going to break out this year, other than you.
Break out? Let me see. Dom Nichols and Cole Sullivan.
Oh, okay. All right. Some more fresh, so more people, more young folks really breaking out. I mean, we're talking really young here.
Well, Nichols, kind of like you, Jacob, he had a ton of playing time in the spring game.
Yeah.
And I think, surprised a lot of people in a good way. Kind of a similar twist on this question. You mentioned having to come up and hit some big running backs. I know we got Khalil Mullings. We got guys like Ben Hall. You got to come down and tackle a lot of guys. Who's the hardest to bring down?
The hardest running back to bring down in our room, probably Ben, because he's big and can move too.
Yeah, he's got those tree trunks.
But in a few years, we're gonna have the best running back duo in the country with Micah Kapana and Jordan Marshall. Those 2 are gonna be crazy.
By the way, I love your commitment to your recruiting class.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's awesome.
That is really interesting. What about them? Is it like a thunder and lightning kind of thing? Or
I was just about to say that because Micah, I say a lot about my class, but it's true. Like, though Micah's probably one of the fastest people on the team and can catch the ball, and then Jordan is just a freak of nature. So those 2 are going to be problems in the Big Ten and for the whole country.
I love the fact that we took Jordan out of Ohio.
Yeah.
And a big program down there. I mean, I know it's not Columbus, but Cincinnati Moeller, right? He's from Cincinnati Moeller, I believe. Yeah. That's a heck of a program, well known. But you mentioned, Kapana being fast. Who's winning the 40-yard dash among all the secondary guys?
Let me see. 40-yard dash among all the secondary guys. This is tough. It will be close for sure.
Is it Zeke?
I don't know. He'll be up there.
I've heard I'm blanking, Dad. Another 5th-year senior out of Detroit. Help me out.
Oh, you probably talk about
where's 36?
Keyshawn?
Yeah, Keyshawn Harris.
Yeah, Keyshawn's fast.
I've heard him as a sleeper before about.
He is, but Keyshawn's an old head, so he'll just play .
Oh, I see. He wouldn't be as committed.
Yeah. He just wouldn't be as committed.
Like, he doesn't need to prove himself. He doesn't need to prove himself.
Young guys like Will and Jaden, it gets serious. It'll get real serious.
Okay. All right. Well, it's now.
Well, it's up for grabs now that Iman Dennis is out, right? Because he was he
was blazing.
Yeah. Every year he'd get mentioned, like when someone put a microphone in front of guys' faces at a practice or whatever, or at the media days, his name was always like the fastest guy on the team. Top spot to eat in town.
Top spot to eat. Ooh.
I heard you were a big Coney Island guy.
Oh no, yeah, that's Detroit native, so you already know. But that's not an Ann Arbor thing.
Yeah. Okay. So, well, there are a few of them in Ann Arbor, but yeah, different brands.
It's not the same. It's not.
Okay. All right. So, what's your Ann Arbor go to?
My Ann Arbor go to.
Budget is no issue.
Yeah, any pizza spot. So like Pizza House, Cottage Inn, any pizza spot would just do me good because I'm a good pizza guy.
Are you a deep dish or Detroit style or thin crust? What do you go to?
I'm a regular round butter and palm with the crust type of pizza guy.
Okay, all right,
Yeah,
got it.
That sounds like Hungry Howie's, but are you?
No, I got a crazy Hungry Howie's little pizza that I'll be making.
Because that you mentioned crust, like that's the place where you can go nuts on the crust.
Yeah.
What's the move? What's the Jacob Oden special?
Okay, I get a large round with pepperoni with bacon bits with a butter and parm crust with hot honey on the bottom.
Oh, hot honey's very popular these days. Jacob, you got to get a deal with Hungry Howie's and have them name that pizza after you.
I'm making a call right now.
For sure.
I mean, it's a Detroit. It's a local company. We got to get on that. That's a natural.
We definitely got to get on that.
What are those two feuding Coney Islands downtown in Detroit? It's Lafayette and the two that are like right next to each other, right? People go to war over
downtown.
those. Yes.
Yeah, we love them. We love them.
So good.
So now you're a freshman. It doesn't look like you're staying in a dorm room. You're probably back home chilling with your parents, is my guess. But you don't have to name the dorm. But are you in a dorm right now for the year?
No, I was right now. We're living in apartments.
Oh,
but I was in East Quad for spring.
And so have you figured out, as a young guy, have you figured out how to do your own laundry yet, or do you still take your laundry home?
I did my own laundry when I was at home.
Boy, you were a model.
I know, it's crazy. I had to find out that people was not doing their own laundry. So,
like this is one of the passage. This is like a lot of freshmen that got to figure out they've never done laundry. It's crazy.
And it's a lot of guys that have never been to a laundromat and stuff like that. So I was kind of confused when they was telling me how we wash our clothes.
Jacob, put somebody on blast here for me. Like, who's throwing all the colors in together, doing it all wrong? Like, just put somebody down.
Oh, Dom Nichols was. I was like, come on, bro.
You just open it up. Like, what do I do with this thing?
Dom Nichols may be a breakout player, but he's still learning how to do his laundry.
Yeah, still learning how to do laundry though.
It's also this is a classic move by Jacob. It's like, because if Dom here's like, hey man, what the hell? Why'd you call me out for not being able to do my laundry? Like, dude, I also listen to you as the breakout player. So
yeah,
that's good that you put the balance there. So, so obviously you've been to a lot of games. If are you picking Mr. Brightside or the Pump It Up as your favorite stadium jam?
Ooh. No, because Pump It Up is everywhere. Mr. Brightside, that's Michigan. But that Pump It Up is crazy. I love hearing that Pump It Up. But I'm going to have to go with Mr. Brightside.
Now, do you know all the words?
I don't know all the words now. I
think a lot of people in the stands don't know them, but they put them up on the Jumbotron or whatever, so they get to
especially
cheat.
now since we have our stadium lights and they just be going off. Yeah,
pretty cool.
Those are pretty cool.
So if you appeared on America's Got Talent, other than tackling and intercepting footballs, what's your talent?
On America's Got Talent,
we've had singers and we've had jugglers, and then we've had a lot of people who said they really didn't have any American talent.
When I was during like COVID times, I taught myself how to play the piano. So if it was back then, that's what I would do.
Ooh.
But now, a talent I could do. I could name every Rod Wave song by only listening to 1 second of it.
Oh, so you're a music trivia, kind of a Broadway music trivia. I'm just curious, how did you hone this skill?
Just listening to a lot of Rod Wave.
Okay.
That's about it.
Okay. Wow. Last question. Favorite movie? Because I've heard you're a movie guy.
I got a bonus one.
Oh, you got a bonus
movie guy. But my favorite movie is between Straight Outta Compton, Forrest Gump, and Avengers: Infinity War. It's those three.
Man of taste. Those
But I really like those old gangster movies like Scarface and Goodfellas too. And like any what was that American I forgot.
Oh,
It was one of those American movies.
Gangster with Russell
American
Crowe
Gangster?
and Denzel.
Yeah, I think so. Yeah, I really love those type of movies too.
That's
you didn't. I don't think you didn't name any sports related movies.
Yeah, I like I love sports related movies like obviously like Waterboy and then whatchamacallit with Adam Sandler, Longest Yard.
Yeah.
But I like cinema like something that's really good. Or one of my other favorite movies is Spider-Man Into the Spider-Verse and Spider-Man Across the Spider-Verse.
Wow.
I like those type of movies too.
Infinity War does go extremely hard. It's a great pick.
Yeah.
Also, Dad, Forrest Gump is a sports movie. He walks on to Alabama.
He did walk on to Alabama and he scored a touchdown.
And he scores a touchdown, right? So
it's also, I guess you could say it's also a war movie because he was in Vietnam. So
all in one.
I guess. Yeah, true. You covered a lot. It was a love story. It does cover a lot. He eats chocolate, so it's a foodie movie. I don't know. It's yeah.
Well, Jacob, given the love of volleyball, maybe Top Gun, the most famous volleyball scene of all time, the old one.
Yeah. I've seen it. I watched that one in class actually, the old one. That was my first time watching it, and I watched the new one in the theaters.
Yeah. Awesome.
My bonus question is my dad too old to wear buffs?
Nah, nobody's too old to wear the buffs.
Good answer, by the way. Solid answer. I'm not too old to wear this national championship T-shirt that I got on. So,
well, I was gonna have my follow-up question would be: am I too old to wear buffs? But it sounds like
no. You could definitely throw those on for sure.
That's awesome. Well, Jacob, this is this is a lot of.
I got to get some turnovers. It's gonna be hard. I'm not in a great spot to be able to do that.
Your kids drop some stuff. That's like a turnover. I guess you picked that up. We're a buff when the kids do it. Hey, Jacob, this was a lot of fun for us, and I think hopefully for the fans and viewers, because again, we get to see, most people only get to see you for 3 hours or so on a Saturday during the season, and your story is really great, and highly recruited guy, and great football player, going to do great things for Michigan on the field, but you're also doing great things for Michigan and young kids off the field. So we really appreciate you sharing that with us. So best of luck being the next great defensive back coming out of the University of Michigan. And again, thanks so much for your time.
No problem.
Go Blue.
All right.
Go Blue.
Perfect.